Hello and welcome to the Captivated Point of View, where we talk everything HR related and talent acquisition related. And today we have Michael Snell from Snell Bespoke Clothing here with us today. We had tried to do something last week, but things happened, and I had told you all that I was going to have him on here. We do have him on here. The Style Doc, you may have heard of him as the Style Doctor. You may have heard of Suits versus Swag, and you may have heard of him through Michael Snell Bespoke Clothing. Today, we're going to talk about how professionalism is tied to dressing. He's going to talk about his line of clothing, and we're going to talk about how you, as young men, older men, mature men out there, can present yourself in better ways going forward. And right now, we bring Brother Snell up. Brother Snell.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Stay hydrated.
So, thank you for joining me today. We had tried to do this last weekend, and we had some technical difficulties. But we wanted to talk about this conversation before 2026, because heading into the new year, we're trying to change the mindset of young men out here and to show them the importance of dressing. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn the floor over to you so you can introduce yourself. You can talk about your clothing line and basically frame how our conversations are going to go today.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing me to make my presence on this platform, and for you, brother Aaron, for allowing me to be on your podcast. Like you said earlier, my name is Michael Snell. I am the founder of Gentlemen versus Swag LLC. It's a Facebook group that currently has approximately 26,000 members in it. Predominantly all men at one time. There were men and females in there, but I needed to create a safe space for men. So I asked the females to politely exit themselves out of the group, not in a malicious way, but in a way that where men can feel comfortable voicing their opinion without potentially being ridiculed by another female or potentially their significant other. I started Gentleman versus Swag when I was still living and stationed, prior service, prior military officer. When I was stationed in Korea, father of two daughters, different conversation. But I created my clothing brand, Michael Snell Bespoke, which once was called Gentleman versus Swag, to eradicate the disease called sagging. And that's where everything kind of started, and the momentum kind of like started flowing from there. People started joining the group. It started asking questions about why I created the group, um, different styles, going to different events, what they should wear, what they shouldn't wear, seasonal type of attire. And then I just started just grinding it out, making clothes, making clothes, making clothes. But I had to pivot a bit. So one of the things that I found disheartening in all of this is not to get off on a tangent, is the lack of respect that we give each other. And so we're incubator for a lot of information, but then when we start presenting information to our own, we get the Heisman Trophy pose, kind of like stand back. So I had to take a step back, do a reassessment. Like I said, pivot into a different down a different path. But so I started talking a lot more about men health, financial literacy, um, how men are dying at a faster rate than females because all the internal stress that we're carrying around, because we don't have outlets to vent to most of the time, and we don't feel comfortable venting to our spouses because sometimes that gets used against us in the heat of the battle. So without any further ado, that's about me, kind of like why I started this, in a very brief 5-minute introduction, where I plan to go, and ready to continue on with the conversation.
Okay. So, First question I have for you, and we were talking about this a little bit before the show, is what was the basis for? And I misspoke in the intro, and I apologize. But what was the basis for gentleman versus swag?
So I was with my daughters. We were riding across Youngsan, Korea, Seoul, Korea, and I'm an equal opportunity officer in the military as a civilian. So please understand, I'm not here to point fingers at any race, any sex, any ideology. I'm just having a conversation about what I
Yeah,
saw.
you're fine. You're fine. Talk your talk.
Okay. No, so disclaimer, man, because the haters are out there. They're coming like with the guns out. So we were going across the installation, and I saw this person walking across there's a bridge there. I saw this person walking across this bridge, heading over to main post. Low haircut, pants all down underneath their buttocks, showing their underwear, and I passed by, and it was a female.
Wow.
Kept going, kept going.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I have my disclaimer. I kept going, and I started seeing these young men, being a father of two daughters. I'm like, what examples do my daughters have to look at? Am I setting a good example for them to aspire to, have in their life? So that was a general purpose of why Gender versus Swag LLC was created, to eradicate the disease called sagging, giving people opportunity to say, "Hey, I would like to wear a suit. I don't know how to wear a suit. When should I try to break into the bespoke world? Should I just stay into the made to measure world?" Those are the conversations that kind of spawn us. And I think right now, I'm probably the longest running Facebook group with that many people in consistently.
Wow. I am a member of Gentleman versus Swag. So
Wow,
I,
you are?
yeah, that's how I was introduced to you. Then I looked you up on
Okay,
and I saw that we were both members of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. We're both noops, so it was easy to reach out to you and have a conversation with you. So yeah,
correct, brother.
I am a member of Gentleman versus Swag, and
All
yeah,
right, all right.
I know
So,
about the Style Doctor.
good one, man. Good one. Yes, brother.
So let's segue into bespoke clothing. So when we said we were going to have a conversation about bespoke clothing, I couldn't join the show without having my suit that is tailor made exactly
Hmm.
for me. Um, I can put this on and it fits perfect.
Yeah.
There's when you go and you have a suit that's made proportionally for you, it's not an off the rack suit. It feels so much better than now you can find some off the rack suits that fit you well, but there's nothing like a bespoke suit.
Those are very candid words you use, and you're correct because, like females, not all men are built the same way. So there's some men out there that fit into that off the rack, where the measurements of the trouser and the measurements of the jacket just, you know, perfect, spot on. But most athletic men, we have like massive quads, larger glutes. We don't like pants, fitting too tight in our groin area. And then of course, if you're into like working out your arms, your biceps, you don't want to feel constricted in your clothing. So when you and I, so I'm not talking. There's no way am I talking negative about made to measure suits.
Mhm,
But on the bespoke side that you just mentioned, the bespoke side, the suit is made. The suit, the shirt, or whatever that garment is made to your exact measurements. The disadvantage of that is if you're a person fluctuating with weight,
mhm,
or if you plan to lose weight. I normally tell my clients, let's revisit this conversation once you reach your ideal weight, and then we can, tailor your bespoke suit from there. So yes, I do lose sales that way, but I'm not in the business of taking people's money and running with it. I want people to become return customers. I want my brand value to stand for something, and I want it to be, something that people will be proud to walk around in, to say, yes, I'm walking around in a Michael Snell bespoke suit, or a Michael Snell bespoke pair of shoes, or handbag, or tuxedo, or whatever it is.
Who would you say that your line of clothing is geared to? I know you would after going where it's going to be geared to athletic men because you're an athlete, former athlete,
Yeah.
and like you said, you want your suits to be made specifically for you because your arms and you don't want your back all stretched out on your blazer and things like that. So, who is the ideal person um, that your line is geared for?
So I would say my ideal person is the, without discriminating, is that gym rat standing approximately 6 feet to 6'4", um, weighing approximately 215 to 235 pounds, that cannot walk into a store and buy something off the rack, which is what I was faced with when I was in Korea. I don't know if a lot of people, a lot of your followers understand this, but most men that have some size to themselves, I'm not talking about obese men, just men with some girth, we can't walk into a store in Korea and buy something, because most of the stuff in Korea, unless you're close to a military base, and then of course there you're gonna have like, most of the time you're gonna have like jerseys and warm up suits and all that, track suits, and those are the type things that a lot of people gravitate toward. But to walk into a store and buy a shirt off the rack or buy a pair of pants off the rack, that's typically not gonna happen. So that is the measurements or the specification of the gentleman, of my ideal customer, size wise. From about 6 foot to 6'4", weighing about 215 to 240 pounds, 235 pounds, that, that's in the gym, that is working out, and the individual who also wants to walk into a room and make a statement.
And that's what I was going to say. So, is this geared to a person that's in mid-level of their career and would an executive come if an executive came to you and they said that I want something that's refined and classic that I can wear to the office every day, would they be able to come to you to get that?
Exactly. So my my variety of fabric that I offer everything from your 120 super 120 fabric, which is a nice introduction level to bespoke. It's a doable suit that allows you to wear it on a consistent basis without the need to have it adjusted. And when I say the word adjust, I'm talking about the seams. So the 120 is a very thick fabric. So it's not going to separate as much. When you
Right.
start getting into the 150s and the 180, now you're looking at fabric. If you wear that suit on a consistent basis, you're looking at the potential of that suit separating within the seam. Nothing to do with the craftsmanship. It's just the fineness, of the fabric is not conducive of constantly wearing. So I would advise men to have that want to go spend a lot of money for a high-end suit, then make sure that he has a lot of other complementary suits to go with that high-end suit,
Right.
until he can build up his inventory to have multiple high-end suits to support whatever his endeavor is. So anywhere from a C-level to an entry-level person is who, category-wise,
Mhm.
employment-wise, is what I'm looking for, as well as the individuals that are looking to job interviews. They
Mhm. Mhm.
just graduated out of college. I'm putting together a program right now at my former university. Hopefully, it comes to fruition. My plan is to, my goal is to have each male graduating from college, graduating and wearing to their first interview a Michael Snow bespoke suit, shoes, and handbag. That's my goal.
Okay. 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 So, to everybody that's out there that's watching, we are on LinkedIn. So, we are talking to a business community. If you're looking to up your suit game, you may want to get in contact with the Style Doctor. Now, as we progress into how dressing can affect you in terms of interviews, um, the perception of you when you're at work, where does wearing suits, wearing ties, wearing dress shoes, where do you think that comes into line when we're talking about presentation of a person at work or during a job interview?
Okay, so we'll take it to the job interview. And I do a lot of interviews for my current career as well, working for the United States government. So I can tell if a person, whether it's a video interview or if an in-person interview, that they're not used to wearing suits. I can tell because usually they're fidgeting around, they're not comfortable, they're sitting like this, and they're not relaxed because their body hasn't got used to being in a suit, being in something in that type of environment. So the stress already for the interview is one thing, and then being uncomfortable. Not saying that the suit is ill fit, but being uncomfortable wearing a suit and tie, shoes. I advise all of my clients to try that suit on several weeks in advance. Get your suit in advance, try it on, walk around the house, put the tie on, exercise wearing the suit repeatedly until the day of the interview so you feel more comfortable in your attire.
Mhm.
That is one of the key things that I would tell anybody that's looking to transition, whether you're transitioning from a current job, going into a new job, or you're a recent graduate from a university or college or vocational school,
Mhm.
is to practice wearing your suit prior to the interview because it makes the presentation that much better, and it allows your presenter to see you in a different facet versus looking at you feeling uncomfortable, because
Mhm.
now they may alter their decision on whether or not they decide to hire you or not. Because key thing here, if you're going to be required to wear suits or you're going to be required to wear that type of tie every day and you don't look comfortable in it, do you think they're going to hire you?
Right. Right. And men, always take that label off of the sleeve of the
Oh,
blazer.
please.
Never
Yes,
leave that
please.
on there. I still see men walking around with that little label right there on your the arm of your blazer. Please take that off before you go in public.
I'm glad you said that. There's a few nuances out there that I reach out to some of my closest friends. I would kind of like say, hey, I would message them on the side, like, hey, man, please remove that label on the outside because you're not. Stop advertising your brand. If you see my brand, you don't see Michael Snell Bespoke all over it. It's not about what's on the sleeve; is how it feels. That's
Right.
one thing. Removing of the brand. The second thing is, on most of the your made-to-measure suits, there are tabs in the vent, whether it's a single vent or double vent.
The little X thread.
Yes, they don't remove that,
Please take
and
those off as well.
take those off. And then if it's a made to measure suit, most of the time your pockets are going to be semi-sealed. So go ahead and open up those
Hmm.
pockets. Generally open
Hmm.
up. I would use like a little razor and just gradually go through that little seam,
Right.
separating the thread, and then remove all the little fine pieces of thread. Once you do that, that way it allows your pocket to relax like it's supposed to. So
As
those are
well
yeah. Go ahead.
as well the threads on your pockets on your blazer as well.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So
So that was a good catch though about the tab.
oh yeah, most definitely. But what I was gonna ask you was because I get this question all the time. When should a man wear the flap on the outside of his pocket? And I've explained it to people that you put the flap on the outside of the pocket when it's raining, so whatever's in your pocket doesn't get wet, instead of having it tucked into your pocket on the side.
That is so. That was what we were taught. What's your age, sir? If you don't mind me asking, Aaron.
I'm 53.
Okay, so that says a lot. So you're right. That's one of the things that we were taught growing up. Keep the flap over your pocket to keep everything inside of your pocket protected. So that's one generic rule of hand that we can stay with. The flap inside is more of a formal type of attire. You go into a tuxedo, you go into a black and white, not saying that you have to have the flap inside. Usually, when if the tuxedo is constructed properly, there should be a little bit of silk or satin material right around
Mhm.
the lip of that
Mhm.
pocket. So when you
Mhm.
tuck it in, that's exposed. So that lets people know that, hey, this suit is custom made.
Mhm. Mhm.
So so what you said is correct. The flap, the pocket flap closed during, you outside, or you're trying to keep something protected. You can't protect it from a pickpocket because they're so smooth. They go in your pocket, inside of your coat these days. So that's what I was told coming up. Like, keep your pockets closed because you don't want to be you know assaulted by a pickpocket. Make it a little more complicated for them to retrieve the items out of your out of your pocket.
Right.
But you're correct. That's one of the things that I was taught coming up is it was the weather. It was more of a weather type of conversation than a fashion trend or an example or two or a lesson to learn or to teach.
So, in relation to me, I've seen people that have came in that I've interviewed, and like you said, um, they weren't dressed properly or they didn't look comfortable. And like if it's a salesman position or something where they're going to be customer facing or outside of the office, you want to make sure that this person is presenting themselves in a way that's going to generate sales. So like you said, if people come in for an interview and it's not because they lack skill, it's not because they have the acumen to do the job. Sometimes it's about presentation, and presentation is very, very important in terms of business. The first perception that you give a person in the business world is probably the perception that they're going to keep. And if you show
Correct.
up at business meetings disheveled, or your suit isn't fitting right, or it's ill fitting, and your 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 wrists are showing on your blade, your blades is too little. These are things that people that are interviewing you, people that are talking to you, they notice these things. Women notice the first thing women look at when, and this is off topic in terms of business, but women look at shoes before they look at anything.
Yes.
Your shoes aren't matching your suit. It's a bad thing. So it's not just the suit, it's the presentation, it's the tie, it's the shirt, it's the cufflinks that you have. Go into what is should a man wear a brown belt with black shoes? Should a man wear black shoes with a brown belt? So let's go into what are norms and what are things that you want to do when you put on a suit every day.
Okay, so ideally for me, I normally take my influence from whatever it is. It could be a pair of shoes, it could be a pair of socks, it could be a hat that I want to wear, it could be a tie, a shirt, a suit. So whatever that focal point that that caused me to put that item on, I accessorize around that first and foremost. That's how I do it. Now, as far as the complexity of matching up the shoes and the belt, that's just a norm. The color of your shoes should always match the color of your belt. The only way you can get away with this if you wear some casual clothes and you have one of those cotton belts with multiple colors in, and then that's something totally different. We're talking about professional dressing, professional appearance here. So if you're gonna put on a suit, even down to the point where the color of the metal on your shoes, if you happen to be wearing some monk straps or something like that,
Mhm.
the color of that should also match the color of your watch
Right.
bezel. So these are just some of the little things in your cufflinks. So you don't want to put silver cufflinks on and have gold buckles on your monk straps.
Or gold
Those are just
watch.
rules.
Right.
Say again.
Or gold watch, or yeah, you want your cufflinks to match your watch and things
You
like that.
want the cufflinks, so you want all the metal to flow from the top to the bottom. Try to get, and sometimes you're not going to be able to pull this off, and I get it. But these are just rules of thumbs to kind of like have in the back of your mind when you're planning things. So if you're going out and you're making some purchases,
Mhm.
have this in mind when you make the purchase. Okay, if I'm buying a pair of shoes, okay, if buying the shoes, what type of belt am I gonna have on? Is the buckle on my belt gonna match the buckle of my on the shoes if I'm wearing shoes with buckles? So that is how I look at that. Now, as far as the belt, then also you have to deal with the width of the belt.
Mhm.
The thicker the width of the belt, it's more of a casual. type of belt.
Right.
The smaller the not the thin, but the smaller, maybe like a 1 inch belt, that's more of a dress belt.
Right. Right.
So you
Right.
can
Right.
tell when you're putting your belt through, if you're trying to put a big belt with belt through some trousers, if they don't fit,
Right.
ding ding ding, hey, that's the wrong belt not to put on right now. That is not the right belt. Put on a different type of belt. So to recap, what you asked me was, should the belt match the shoes? Yes, your belt should match your shoes. Now there are a couple of things you can get away with, like white shoes, and you don't have to wear a white belt with that. But it's all about how tastefully you put this attire together
Right.
determines the presentation. So if you take your time, you do your research. Man, Google is such a powerful tool. So if you can Google everything else, why not Google that question right there. How
Right.
I'm wearing white shoes, what color belt should I put on? Or I'm
Right.
wearing brown shoes, can I wear brown shoes with a blue suit? Or can I wear black shoes with a gray suit? Those are questions that Chat GPT or Google can answer for you, on a drop of a dime.
Now, before we move on, I got one more question for you.
Yes.
Is there a time that men should wear white socks with black or brown dress shoes?
Never, ever,
Okay.
ever,
I still
ever,
see
ever,
I
ever.
still see this happening.
Well, some men are. I know when I was coming up, because I didn't come up with a lot of money. I came from a pretty low income family, so a lot of our shoes were hand me downs.
I think we all went through that.
Okay, so I probably needed a size 8, but the shoe was a size 9.5 or 10. So at that time, I would put white socks on, but I would take color socks on, put over top of it
Right.
to make the shoe fit. These are just tricks that you use to accommodate what you have or what you don't have, and still present yourself in an appropriate manner. So to answer your question, cut throat right down to the point. No, white socks are made for football, baseball, basketball, whatever sport you're playing. Now, if you throwing on some tennis shoes, white socks, and I think for a while there, people stopped wearing white socks. Period. For a while, I don't know if they still do, but I don't think a
Not
lot of
in
people
the
still even
States.
wear.
Not in the States. Not in the
Yeah,
States.
yeah. But
But
good question though.
so thank you. Thank you. So I'll ask you this question. When you have two candidates that are equally qualified, both interviews have were good interviews. Would you think that dress would be a factor in a decision? For I mean, I'm asking you that from your frame. From my frame, yes. The way that a person's appearance when they come into an interview is tantamount. It's very important because what I've noticed with millennials is millennials don't like wearing dress clothes. They don't want to wear executive wear to the office. And I think that there's been a change from what's accepted in the office space, and things are changing because um lots of companies are reapplying dress codes now.
So, brother Arnold, to answer your question, without taking any shots at anybody, and it's no hate toward this individual at all. But look at Cam Newton. How Cam Newton presents himself on NFL Today, whatever he's doing, an analyst. Um, he's constantly pushing the envelope.
Mhm.
So with that being said, that goes to address your millennial question or the statement that you made. Now back to the initial question. Um, two equally qualified candidates. One candidate sitting there fidgeting, uncomfortable, decent suit on. The other candidate sitting there comfortable, not so good suit on, but he's confident in his approach. I would tendency go with the person that is comfortable in what he's wearing, as long as it's not distasteful.
And and
So
and and, and the reason I asked this question is I wanted to have that outlook reinforced that appearance really does it
yes,
really can push you to success or push you to not being successful in different situations. So
you're correct, but the caveat with that is I have to be careful that I'm not outdressing the person that's interviewing me.
right, right, right,
So I have to constantly be cognizant of not overdoing it. And I'm not saying overdoing it with doing being too flamboyant with what
hmm
I have on,
hmm
but kind of
tone down.
be tone it down a little bit, tone down the confidence because I'm a very confident person. So I
Hmm.
have to kind of like not come across as being pompous or arrogant or conceited. The titles that they normally try to give a confident person. We're just confident in what it is that we do. So that will be my caveat to that is like, please be careful that you don't outshine the person
Right,
that's interviewing you.
right.
So I know I didn't answer your question the
No,
way
no, no, no.
you wanted
I'm
me.
glad, I'm
Go
glad
ahead.
you framed it that way because basically I was that goes leads into my next question was not all roles dress the same, but
Mhm.
professional still applies.
Yes.
And basically I wanted to say what type of suit would an entry level candidate go into an interview with? What kind of suit would a mid level candidate go into an interview with? And what kind of suit would an executive level candidate go into? What kind of suit would these three different individuals wear? So that they would not outshine the person that's interviewed.
Well, the suit is gonna suit itself. I'm gonna steal a little the math isn't mathing type of comment that
Right,
someone
right,
made a while
right,
ago.
right.
The suit is gonna suit itself. So, but what happens a lot of time is the accessories that a lot of men put on. They may throw on a 10,000 or $15,000 watch going to a mid-level type of job, interview. That's probably not a
It's not a
well,
good thing to do.
based on where you're interviewing now. It's Saks Fifth Avenue or whatever the company happens to be. Uh, whatever the Fortune 5 company happens to be. Do your research on the company first and foremost. Look at how the person that's on your panel look at some of his or her profile pictures to make an assessment of that, and then gradually walk in that way and present yourself accordingly. So from an executive, um, if I was advising an executive on what to wear, an executive shouldn't come into an interview with no less than a 180 suit, 180 bespoke suit. No questions, no questions about that. So a nice tailored suit, some black Oxfords possibly, or based on the color of the suit. Of course, the power suit is going to be your grays and your blues. Those are your power colors that you normally want to utilize when you're doing for an interview. And then so those are interchangeable. But I wouldn't wear some brown shoes with a gray suit for a job interview.
I don't think
If
there's
I
ever a time that a man should wear a brown suit to an interview, unless
no,
you're going to
no,
an
no,
interview with you. Yeah.
brown shoes,
Oh,
brother,
okay, okay, okay.
brown
Oh,
shoes. So you can wear brown shoes with a gray
oh
suit,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it
Most
has to be
definitely.
tastefully done. But I would not wear brown shoes with a gray suit to an interview.
No.
I would wear black shoes with a gray suit. I would try to tone down the shoes too.
Mhm.
Lace ups, some lace up shoes. Those are professional shoes. Your monk strap shoes, whether it's single strap, double strap, triple strap, those are more of your casual shoes
Right, right.
that you wear. So normally a lace up is what you want to present to your interviewer that if you're going into. So now Super 180 for the executive, I would say Super 150 for your mid level going into your mid level, but also that's you have to factor in what that looks like. Is that 100K to 200K for the mid level? Is it
Mhm.
300K to 500K for the executive the C level? But then your entry level person, going back down the glide path accordingly. The entry level person, I would say, those individuals are probably don't have a lot of money unless they come from money or somebody has invested some money in them to present themselves in an appropriate way. I would say a decent Super 120 suit, probably not bespoke, probably go with made to measure as as you build your resources. And that's one of the key things that, I lose a lot of business from because when I talk to a bunch of my clients, I ask them what their budget is, whether it's their monthly clothing budget, annual clothing budget, quarterly, semi. If you don't have that figured out, man, you're not you're not going about this the right way.
And I was going to ask you, um, because a good tailored suit, entry level, is probably going to bespoke is probably going to run you between $800 and $1,200.
That's about right.
So that wouldn't be entry level. And
That wouldn't be entry level
and
to
then
me, but I don't know where that entry level person is coming from. They
and
may
to the
be coming from
people,
a family of means, right?
right. And to the people that may not understand, explain to them what you mean by Super 180, Super 150, and Super 120.
Okay, so how I break this down to most of my clients is bed sheets. So if
Thread
you go
count.
somewhere, thread count, take the same concept. Thread count,
Mhm.
Super 150, Super 150, Super 120, Super 120, Super 150, Super 180. The higher the number, the finer the thread count.
Right.
The softer the fabric. So you can spend I've seen people spend several $100s on 1 yard of fabric.
Yes.
So if you're going into your Loro Piano high end Italian wool, that suit could run you, a 180 suit could run you several $1,000s easily.
Now, where does Michael Snell Bespoke come in there? Because I'm thinking that you're offering an elegance that someone would pay that much money for, but at a not I wouldn't say a reduced rate, but at a different level that would be a good price point for people looking to get their first bespoke suit.
So looking to get their first bespoke suit, I would try to gear them into the 120 area. That'll keep it reasonable. They'll keep it around the $500 mark, to be honest
Okay.
with you, which is a relatively pretty good price for a
That's a great
bespoke.
price. That's a
Yeah,
great price.
for a bespoke suit, $500 is pretty good. So I
So
try to keep. Go ahead.
now go ahead. Go ahead.
So I would try to keep them around that area, and then of course if it's an entry level person and they don't really have a lot of resources, I would particularly try to direct them into the made to wear or made to measure area. If their body, if they have the body structure to support that suit without altering the suit too much, and that goes back into your initial question. We talked about the beast, but we didn't talk about the made to measure suit. So when you buy a made to measure suit, most of the time you're gonna have to do some alterations to that suit, which is gonna mess up the inner workings of the suit. The pockets are not gonna fit right. If it's a pattern color suits, if the seamstress that you're working with is not good, they're not gonna line up. You're gonna have one line here on a window pane suit. The lines should flow. I'm not saying it should look like a picture, but you should be some um, consistency on how the lines flow in the suit, especially when you're dealing with patterns. You can get away with a lot more with altering suit when it's just a solid color suit because a lot of the imperfections won't show up on the outside, but on the inside of that suit, you know that that suit has been altered significantly to fit your body, and that's what I had to do when I was coming up. I would go to a thrift store, buy a old man suit. I'm still in high
Mhm,
school,
mhm.
and my pockets were My front pockets are like this. Not like this. My front pockets were like this. But I've been doing this for a while, and being my last duty station in Korea, now I have the ability to take what's in my head and make it come to life. Because I could walk into my master tailor and say, "Hey, I want to design this, and I want to have that," or go to my cobbler and say, "Hey, I want this shoe, but instead of the monk strap going this way, I want them to go like this." I've designed shoes like that,
Hmm.
because the idea was in my head, and that's where the word bespoke come from. But a lot of people don't understand that is when you are in the bespoke world, you, the customer, are intricately involved in the development of your item.
Hmm.
When you go into the made to measure world, you're giving something and said, make it work.
Right. Right. And I'll be honest. I growing up, I really didn't look at it like bespoke, but I've been wearing bespoke clothes all my suits all my life because when I was younger, um, my father used to take me and my brother, and we would go to J.C. Penney's or Steve
Okay. Oh
or,
man,
or
I
something like
love
that.
JC Penney's back in the days.
And they would when you went in there, they would basically take your measurements and make the suit for you.
Yeah.
So I remember these things, and when you're young, you don't really look at it like that. But I remember getting up on Saturday mornings and me, my brother, and my father going to J.C. Penney's or going to Sears and getting measured for an Easter suit, and not knowing, you're wearing bespoke clothing. So you learn that you're doing things, but yeah, it's bespoke clothes. There's nothing like there's nothing like I can't explain well enough that there's nothing like putting a suit on that is made for you. It just fits
For
perfect.
you.
And I know that we said what your regular customers are, but for the men out there that maybe have some girth, men aren't all created equally. There are some men that are out there bigger. What would you say for a bigger man that wants to have a bespoke suit?
So I've done several of those, and what a lot of men that have a lot of girth doesn't realize. Um,
Because we don't want to leave them out.
oh no, no,
Bigger
no,
men
no.
can get suits made for them as well.
Yes, because and sometimes, to be honest with you, sometimes men, um, a lot of men with size wear their suits well, but what I was hinting on just now was the larger men. A lot of times when they put on a belt or pants with loops on it, belt loops on it, it it brings all that attention to that area. So if they have like a large gut and the belt is going to be all tucked up underneath, that. So I try to steer them away from not getting a suit with the belt, but have the inner waist
Hmm.
tapered with like it's a little bit of rubber
Yep.
um grommet that goes around the entire waist, maybe like two or three or four layers, and then
Keep your
have
shirts from moving too.
yes, it keeps your shirts from moving. Yes, but it also helps keep the pants up so they don't slouch
Hmm.
down as much. And then have them go into the adjustable waist. So the adjustable waist, you normally find those on tuxedo pants, but I've designed silver suits with the adjustable waist, allowing them so if they go to lunch, eat something for lunch, and they have a little more size there, they can you know
Release some of that pressure.
unhinge it, let it out a little bit, lock it back in, and you're still going, so you don't feel as though you're like, oh man, I ate too much, I feel too full, the suit's too tight, I'm uncomfortable. Because ideally, what you want to be is comfortable in what you're wearing at all times.
Okay. Now
So did I answer? Did I
I have
answer your
one more
question
question for
about the
you.
big guys?
Yep, yep, yep. Because
Okay.
I didn't want to leave. We said what your ideal customer is, but everything isn't ideal, and we didn't want to leave the big guys out. Big guys can get bespoke suit as well, excuse me, and present themselves in a very, very professional way when they are going to interviews.
Correct.
What I was going to say was most of my bespoke suits, I don't, unless I have to wear, unless I'm going to be have my button open and my midsection is going to be exposed. I lots of my bespoke suits, I don't even have to wear a belt.
And that's what I do. That's how a suit should feel.
Right,
The belt is only there for to accessorize what you have on.
right.
If you have to have on a belt to hold up your pants,
They don't fit
that's
right.
a different problem. That's a
Right,
different problem we're talking about
right.
now.
Yeah, because I and even been told by tailors that you don't have to wear a belt. A belt
No,
is, and I was going to ask the style doctor. Yeah, some you don't. A belt is not. A belt is optional.
it is optional. Now, based on the settings that you're in now.
Right. Now you will always
If
wear a
it's a
belt to the
business
interview.
setting, belts are normally not optional because
Right.
there's a dating myself, the old IBM, type of
Mhm.
look you have on, that's still, systemic throughout all of corporate America. Everybody has the same or a similar ideology of what a properly dressed man in corporate America should look like. Is that changing? Yes, it's changing with the adaptation of AI, remote working, things of that nature. A lot of people are not forced to have that type of look all the time. But going back to the purpose of this interview, we're going for the initial contact with that individual is what we're trying to stay right now. So for those who are listening to this, understand we're only talking about the interview process, the screening process that you're going through.
Right.
This
Right.
is the not you have a job and you're already moving up the corporate ladder. That's something different.
Right. Right. And this goes into the basically my next question, and it was: should individuals dress a level up for an interview, or should they dress a level down for an interview? Because we've talked about not dressing better than the person that's interviewing you. So the person dress up one level or down one level without
So that
overstating themselves.
Aaron, that's delicate. But I would rather fall on the sword 10 times and be and remain the man that I am versus cower and become someone that I'm not.
Right,
So I'm always dressing for my next job, not my current job.
right,
So if I'm going into an interview, I'm if I'm going into an interview right now, just say I'm gonna be a store manager for rooms to go. I'm dating myself, but this is these rooms to go because they're not there anymore. I'm going into a store manager position for rooms to go, but I also know there's a regional store manager position coming open. I'm
right,
dressing for that regional manager position, I'm not saying that's the fluidity of how you go from a store manager to the regional manager, but just at an example of this conversation that we're having right now. I'm dressing for that regional manager position, although I'm interviewing for the store manager position.
right. So dress a level up.
Yes.
Okay.
But you have to, like, going back to, you have to be careful because
It has to be understated.
the individual that could be intimidated by you, but that's called being having the ability to read people.
Right. Read the
When
room.
you become seasoned, you can read a room pretty well.
Mhm, mhm.
How to navigate through it, what to say. You may have on a nice watch. You just pull down your sleeves and cover the watch up, or instead of sitting where your shoes are exposed, you got some nice high end Michael Snow bespoke shoes that are just some oxygen that are just killing it. You may want to just like cross your legs a little bit so they're not as exposed,
Right, right.
but
And in
still,
this,
yeah.
now go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I'm there. I'm good.
what I was gonna say is in this last 10 minutes that we have of this interview, it's been a great conversation. I appreciate you, Brother
Wow, it's been
Snell, for
50
being on
minutes
here.
already?
Yeah, we've been
Wow.
talking 50 minutes right now. So
Man,
in this last 10 minutes, let's talk about the difference in dressing for an online interview where you're going to be interfacing through video conference as opposed to how you would dress on an on-site interview. So are there differences that you think a person should dress?
no, because if the if the expectations are for you to carry yourself, dress accordingly to the interview that you're having, you should be dressed that way for the video interview.
Okay. You all are
Because
hearing this.
again,
You all are hearing this. The style doctor's telling you what you should do.
yes, because you're still, you're getting comfortable. If you're comfortable, I used to tell people I used to put on a suit to go to McDonald's. If you're comfortable wearing a suit, regardless of
What
regardless of
environment? Yep.
whatever weather conditions you're in, when you're comfortable wearing a suit, you're comfortable wearing a suit. And if the suit is going to be your coat of armor in that place of employment, you must become one with your coat of armor. And so that means exercising your coat of armor, polishing your coat of armor. So every time you go out, you prepare. You don't have to get ready. You're already ready.
Okay. So you all have heard it. If you're doing a on-site interview or a video conference interview, you want to dress the same. There is no difference. There is no difference in the job. It's just that one job you're going to go on site to interview, and one they're looking at the presentation that you're presenting via video conference. So there is no distinction between them. You dress the same level, same way that you would dress on a on-site interview. It is how you should present yourself on a video conference interview.
Correctly. That is correct. Because remember now, if you're uncomfortable wearing a tie, you're still going to be uncomfortable on the video.
Right, right. You're gonna
So
be
wear that suit. Yeah, you're constantly,
and people, yeah, and people.
fidgeting around.
I've seen it. I've seen it. That yeah. Oh, another thing, when you come into an interview and you sit down in your seat, unbutton your blazer, and then when you
Yes,
stand up to leave,
you
button
button it back up.
it back up.
So another rule to add on to that. Okay, so um, when if which is they're still around. So your three button suit,
Mm,
the middle button always, top button sometimes,
right.
the bottom button never.
Never.
And a lot of people ask me why that is you don't want to put too when you button that bottom button, your button that button is going to be circumventing your buttocks, your stomach. You're putting too much stress on the fabric.
Hmm.
So when you're walking around, you're now, you know, it's just you're putting too much stress on the fabric when you button that little button. Same thing with the vest. If you got a vest on, you don't button that last button on your vest. Leave that button unbuttoned. On a double-breasted suit, you double-breasted comes over that last button, you don't button it because again, you're putting too much stress when you're moving your body around. Too much stress is going to cause your suit to look like this or the jacket to look like this when you're moving around. It's not going to sit perfectly like it should. So those are just tips.
I'm glad you brought that up. Should a man ever wear a double-breasted suit to an interview?
Today, I don't think so.
I wouldn't think
I,
so either.
I don't think so. To an interview, no. If I had to advise someone on an interview, I would tell them do a two-button
Hmm.
suit, not
No
a
vest.
double-breasted,
Yeah, no
not
vest.
even not even a vest. It's a two-button suit, semi-spread collar. Go with the full Windsor knot on your tie. Um, Very simple pocket square, nothing too done, too fancy there.
Hmm.
Um, you're in a fraternity or you're in an organization or something like that, maybe a small little lapel pin, just that's questionable now. Even that, because you may be a Kappa and being interviewed by a Q, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna interview. I'm not gonna. I'm not.
Now
I'm not saying this.
19 1911 kind of stick together.
Yeah,
1911 kind of stick together.
that's just an example. It's just an example. So that's kind of like how I would kind of like guide my ideal client through that. Two button suit, stay
Mhm.
within the power range. Your grays, your blues. Stick with those two for the most part, grays and blues, and then from there, some Oxford, nice clean tie. Single vent if you're older man, double vent if you're a younger man for the interview.
You know what? I got a couple. I got. Let's see. I think we can get this done. If you're
Okay.
going on a banking interview, what color suit should you wear?
Banking interview, that's easy blue, man. Just
Blue.
blue.
If you're going on a let's see, banking insurance interview, what should you wear? Gray.
I would say gray. I would stick with the gray one.
And if you're going, I said banking, I
Hmm.
said IT. If you're going to a I'm trying to cover the bases because we talk to people that are there's suits that you should wear based on the type of interview you're going to.
Yes.
If you're going to a interview for a law firm, what should a person wear?
Law firms are tricky, but good rule of thumb, blue. Good rule of thumb. Now, I know a lot of law firms that like the pinstripes, soft pinstripes,
I was going
because
to ask you, should a person wear pinstripes on us?
it shows a
I mean, on
little
interview.
a little mystique, and it goes back to the days of Perry Mason.
Mhm.
Dating myself again. So Perry Mason, those guys kind of like, well, but Perry Mason also wore a lot of double breasts too. So, but that will I would say with that I would go with gray, but you can probably get away with a pinstripe as well.
Is there a
Not a
time
pencil
that
stripe, but a pinstripe.
right? Is there a time ever that a person should wear a black suit to an interview? Mad Men, Made Men style?
Yes. Now, a black suit has multiple purposes. A black suit can be worn to a funeral. If you don't have a tuxedo, a black suit could be worn to as for a tuxedo. Just a regular button down shirt, nice little bow tie. You good on that aspect. Not great. You're good. You're passing. Technically you should be wearing a tuxedo, but if you don't have it like that, you don't have the money to go out to rent a tuxedo or buy a tuxedo, a black suit would accommodate you. There are times when black suits are acceptable, but the problem you run into a lot with black suit is finding the appropriate tie to wear with it,
Right,
so you don't look like you're going to a funeral.
right.
That's the challenging part of a black suit because most of the time it has such a mystique tied around it. Black suit is a funeral.
Mhm.
So you have to be that one is going to be
Yeah,
difficult. Wearing a black suit is going to be difficult
yeah.
to pull off for any job interview. Can you do it? Yes, but just be very tactful and tasteful how you put it together.
Men, you heard that from the style doctor, Michael Snell, Bespoke Clothing. Brother Snell, let the people know where they can find you, the platforms you're on, and if they want to get in contact with you so that they can get one of those $500 bespoke suits, how do they get in contact with
Okay, great question. So LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn as Michael Snell. As a matter of fact, I've just within the last month or so, I have the Style Doctor Journal where I do weekly newsletters for free for people on LinkedIn. So that's my LinkedIn contact there, Michael Snell Bespoke. More than likely, you're gonna find LinkedIn doesn't really do a lot of hashtags or
you?
names.
Right, right,
So
right.
just Michael Snell. Facebook, you can find me on Facebook, Michael Snell Bespoke. TikTok, Michael Snell Bespoke. Instagram, Michael Snell Bespoke. Those are all the levels. My website is www.msnellbespoke.com, msnell.spokebecon.com. My made to measure side of the website is still being developed. My team should have that done by Friday. So just you know, I apologize in advance for that. But the bespoke side is working, as well as my 3D design to design your own personal shoe that you want to wear. So those are the areas you can find me. Currently, for this interview, I reside in the Netherlands.
Right, right.
So, um, me and Aaron are looking at the possibility of bringing on some consultants. So when that comes to fruition, we'll branch ourselves out so we'll have more people in other areas to be able to service you. So those are the areas you can find me in. I'm on WhatsApp. I have a US number that you can call in. Email address on my website. Everything that you need is on my website. So if you need to get in contact with me to make an appointment to do a consultation, I'm more than happy to try to accommodate you. But just keep in mind that is for the East Coast, I am on a 6-hour time difference living in
Yes,
the Netherlands.
yes, yes. So with that being said, I am currently recruiting for brand ambassadors for Brother Snell. So if you are a salesman and you think that you can find executives, business people that are looking to purchase bespoke clothing, please get in contact with either one of us, and we can give you the details on that position. Um, this interview has been brought to you by Captivative HR Consult. Captivative HR. My mind just went blank. Captivative,
It's okay.
and we appreciate you all turning in today. Captivative HR Solutions. I don't know what happened, but yes, Captivative HR Solutions. We appreciate you all watching us today. Maybe you have learned something about how you should dress going into an interview, how you should dress going into an after 5 setting. If not, reach out to the style doctor to get that information from him. We appreciate you all coming and watching us today, and we will see you all next time.